Now, people, as you might know, here on King Island, we had a lot of trouble. Our farmers had a lot of trouble with a drought and lots of reorganizing. And there's one organization that has been very supportive over the last few years for the King Island farmers, and that's the Tas Farm Innovation Hub. Now, I want to know a little bit more about this. So, right person to talk to is the director, Sandra Knowles. Sandra, welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Now, tell us a little bit more about the Tas Farm Innovation Hub. What is it?
So, what it actually is essentially a drought hub looking at climate resilience that is set up under the Future Drought Fund, the federal government DAF Future Drought Fund, and we're one of 8 hubs around Australia. And our remit is to look at Tasmania and working with communities and farmers about thinking about climate resilience and the changing climate in the future and being ready to make sure that they can remain profitable and operate on the ground.
What about all these old farmers that say, listen, mate, I've been farming for decades. I don't need any help here. I know what I'm doing.
Totally understand. And the farmers know their farms best. And I think what we've been experiencing over the last 3 to 5 years is actually a changing climate and a stark realization that perhaps there's a new normal and that what's been happening for the last 20, 30 years may change slightly. And it's about that incremental change and thinking, well, if the climate changes over the next 5 years, what do I have to do to make sure that I remain profitable and I can still run my farm?
Now, your organization has been on the island now quite a number of times, and particularly during the drought time. What was that mostly about, like with workshops and
So I guess the way that we talk about our activities on the island is that we did it collaboratively with the state government, with Rural Business Tas, with RAW, and many of the other organisations that are either partners or we collaborate with. And what we did was mobilise as quickly as we could to work around that drought cycle. So it's preparedness, response, and recovery, and our roles in that preparedness part. And so we did lots of workshops, we did field visits, getting out on farms to see what people have done, workshops like managing dry times, management decisions for a dry winter, looking at stock water, looking at the AgLogic weather tools and farming forecaster. We did water and finance. There were fertilizer field days. So lots of different things, but not determined by what we think what the farmers needed. It was really around saying to them, what do you need and what's your wicked problem you'd like us to help at least bring that information to you so you can make better decisions.
so is it almost like your organization works on the basis of what we hear and what we see from farmers is how we put our programs and workshops together?
Absolutely, but also I guess we were purposefully put within a university, and there's some fantastic research that goes on within the university. And I guess when we see a WICRIP problem or we're asked questions around the information being available, we can reach back into the university and make sure that research or the outputs are translated with industry so that they can change practice on farms. And it's great to know that something's been trialled for 5 or 6 years in a long-term trial, or a researcher's been looking at something. But often farmers don't want to read a published paper. They just want it to be translated into something on the ground.
Is it also now, Sandra, that King Island almost needed this drought to learn lots of new things and to become aware of all these programs that are on offer?
Well, we never need
Oh,
dry
okay, but
conditions, but I think what it has done is it's benefited many people in that I think as people who want to help the King Island farmers and the community, it's made us work together better. A farmer doesn't need 5 people knocking on a door. It's made us realise how important those grower groups are on the ground. King Island Beef Group has been, a great supporter of what we've been able to do on the island. And it just makes sure that we're all working together. And when it comes to the Drought Hub or the Tas Farm Innovation Hub, it makes us it ensures that the federal funding that's coming in for climate resilience is getting right to the front door of the farmers and in their paddocks.
because it's interesting in itself when you think about it that a farmer is, in principle, an individual operator, isn't it? It's not about working in teams. So there's a learning curve too, then, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's learning what we've found through our grower group pilot on the East Coast, is that it's often that peer-to-peer learning, but also the community support around those who are, finding the dry conditions difficult. That's the support that keeps people going. And, we recently had a bunch of Western Australian farmers over for a Western Australian hub tour visits Tasmania, and Steph Ellis came over, was one of our original drought coordinators, funded jointly through the state government. And her view was that it was great to see that people now understand that you can get together, you can go to workshops, and not only are you learning new things, but you're actually supporting each other.
Hmm. I think it's also a little bit, of course, is that for decades here on this island that there were never really issues with drought or other problems really. Well, transport has always been difficult for the farmers to get cattle on and off the island, but having experienced this now, it's yeah, that awareness is so much stronger now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's about being aware that it isn't, I understand on King Island you haven't had conditions like this since the 1970s, and it's understanding that this may happen again, and when it happens again, or if it happens again, you understand the tools you need, the trigger points. And for us, while we can lobby and highlight the issues of logistics and getting stock on and off the island, we can't solve the problem, but we can raise the awareness, and we can't encourage people to destock if they can't actually get their stock off the island. So it was great to be able to help facilitate those round tables and looking at the logistics, and just making sure that there was a holistic picture of what was going on and the help that was needed on island.
So what you're saying in a way is also, of course, now that farming is now a lot more than jumping on your quad bike and moving cattle from one paddock to the other, isn't it?
Absolutely. And every farmer needs to be profitable. And to be able to be profitable, you need to understand, your water security and, moving your stock and when to move them, and how much rain is predicted, and how much, moisture you actually have in your soil as opposed to just in the weather gauge. So it's complicated, and we always say farmers know best, and they do. But as there's new practices that come into play, if we can help in some way to at least bring those new practices to the farmers, and then they can choose to adopt or not, is something that we're really passionate about. And it's also that peer-to-peer learning, but also making sure that there's mentoring along the way. There's nothing worse than someone giving you an app and then walking away and you don't know how to use it. That's not going to help anyone.
So it's all about not telling a farmer what to do, but listening to a farmer and then support him to build further, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's, one of the reasons why we see the grower groups in Tasmania as really important, because it gives that collective voice to the growers and the farmers on the ground, and it helps us get a bigger picture of what's going on and how we can help, and they can self-determine what type of help they may need.
Now, the King Island Beef Producers Group, one of the lucky five in Tasmania to receive grant funding up to $55,000. Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, we're really excited about this project, and while it's a pilot, we're hoping when we get our next round of funding, we can continue some of these activities right across Tasmania. But the five that have been chosen, King Island Beef Producers Group was one of them, and the reason for that is that it's a strong committee. It's got a strong member base. It's been able to clearly articulate the group's goals, and how that relates to building resilience in those climate extremes. And I think for us that was the really important part. It's a strong group, but also an understanding we're here to help around climate resilience, and building a stronger group that then filters out onto the farms.
And the $55,000 is used for, I'm sure, not a party and a barbecue.
So the way that we've broken up that is, part of that funding is actually a full-time facilitator based in the hub. So Alex Russell is one of our extension officers, been with the hub for nearly 3 years, and is he will do he will manage these 5 groups or help these 5 groups full time. And then on top of that, each group will get $15,000, $5,000 to help with that day-to-day administration on the ground, and then $10,000 to do at least up to 4 learning experiences for the farmers or the growers, completely determined by them in conjunction with Alex. And I think one of the great things to see with this is there are 5 groups, and we're really interested to see whether that network and whether the learning across different parts of Tasmania and the different microclimates and different farming commodities, whether they can also learn from each other.
And I guess that some of that money, I guess, is also going to be used for future workshops.
Absolutely. And the King Island groups already identified several challenges that they want us to, look at together, which is feed budgeting and dry feed utilisation, and also managing stock rates as well. And so we're sort of already, or Alex is already busy looking at who are the best experts in this area that actually understand King Island and that northwest Tasmania region. So yeah, it's about actually then, I guess, mobilising as quickly as we can to bring that expert knowledge across to the island.
Well, Sandra, I'm going to put my gumboots on and click my finger and go and have a chat because we talked about the King Island Beef Producers Group. I'm going to have a chat with their president, Nick Little. And yeah, we thank you very much for your time, Sandra Niles.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, Nick, as the chair of the King Island Beef Group, receiving $50,000 or up to $55,000. Explain.
There was an application to get a grant to help producer groups to put on climate resilient sort of workshop and education for the producers. And the $55,000 comes in part of it. It's not a cash grant as such. It's a lot of we say a lot of admin work in the background and just all the resources that Tas Farm Innovation Hub can help us with. And of that, we'll get $10,000 to $15,000 of actual money to put on field days and support our own administration staff to get things happening.
It's quite interesting to see that actually only 5 groups in the whole of Tasmania have received this funding, isn't it?
Yeah. So we were lucky we got around it, and I thought it would be an onerous process. It was quite easy to apply, and I guess we'd done a fair bit of work with the Tas Farm Innovation Hub, so we knew what sort of workshops we'd like to do. We had to outline them in our application.
So is it actually, what you can say, is it good news that came of all the drought that we dealt with last year, and from there?
Well, I guess that's a positive thing. You're working with them, so you built some relationships up, and you know what you can't do, and in those sort of situations, I guess.
But we never would have all the workshops that we had last year, would it, if it wasn't for the drought?
Yeah, well, that's true, yeah. So we've got a lot more support that way.
So what do you think farmers on the island from those workshops at the time, what do you think they have learned? Have they learned from it?
I think they have learned from it. Look, there might not be drastic changes you see, but for example, the start of this year was getting pretty tight again. It echoed last year, and people were able to just pull some levers and start researching feedstuffs and what they could get in. Just a simple thing like feeding pellets to the weaners so they didn't drop a lot of weight. So they went into winter forward. People just picked up that straight away. They knew the trigger points and when they had to start feeding.
But are we saying that farmers on the island, with all the experience they have and had, that was there a lack of knowledge, or was it just that because the way we always farmed and never dealt with drought, we never have to worry about all these things?
Yeah, I guess we never sort of had to worry about it too much, but it's such a safe rainfall environment. You knew it gets tight through February and March, but by the middle of March it always rains. It'll rain, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And there hasn't been, in the past, there may not have been as much sort of feed budgeting and looking 2 or 3 months ahead of you as, I guess, after the workshops that we've done with Tas Farm Innovation Hub. I guess you've got that in the back of your mind. You might not be doing it that discipline that you're writing down all the figures and everything, but you've just got that foresight, I guess.
I guess also the Tas Farmers Innovation Hub, in a way, they also learn over time from all the situations we're dealing with, isn't it? Because when everything goes perfect, what else is there to learn?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And they can pass that on to other producers. And I guess it was an eye-opener for them, all the support that we had was our transport issues too. So obviously we can say, okay, well everyone needs to match their feed demand to their feed supply, but in some cases that production system might mean everyone's offloading at the same time. So it needs a little bit of forward planning and a little bit of cushioning in the system, I suppose, as far as feed goes.
Have we seen changes now in the whole transporting of cattle from the island? Or?
Not dramatically, no. It's like I guess we keep up when we have to, but there's still sort of the same issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, but with the funding that is available now, has the King Island Beef Group already decided or thought about what sort of workshops they want to do or how to spend the money on workshops? And
yeah, we have. So we had to put that in as part of the application, but that we can tweak that a bit. But yeah, we've definitely thought about it. So we're thinking of doing some sort of pasture workshops. So maybe exploring different species that might be a bit deeper rooted, or a mix of species that might get a bit more longevity out of them, like a longer sort of growing season out of them into the dry. We've already done a fertiliser workshop, but we'd go down that path a bit. We'll probably do a bit on knowing your system and matching your feed demand to your feed supply, so that you don't have these animals that are consuming a heap when you've got low feed, for example in autumn sort of thing. So you just match that to your spring supply curve.
so are you saying, in a way, are we going to see a lot of changes coming to farming on King Island and how to grow grass and how to look after your cattle and...
Oh, look, I don't think there needs to be dramatic changes. I think people are quite aware of it, but I think if we ran a couple of workshops or a workshop on grazing management, people might think, oh, you pick up a few 5%ers out of that, and all of a sudden they either might grow 10% more grass, or they can run the same amount of cattle, but they can run them easier, and they hold condition for longer. I think.
Now, we dealt with the drought last year. Everybody remembers, everybody knows. As far as you know, what is the average farmer up to right now in September 2025? Have things changed for the better? Is it still critical? Is it good? Or what are we up to?
Oh, I guess everyone's still going on with their systems as they have been, but they're conscious that they probably know more their critical dates when they need that rain by. For example, I guess in a southern beef production system, we might not get our annual average rainfall, but if the timing's right, so if you get it in August, you get it in October or September to an extent, and even a little bit into November, you're sort of set up, and obviously in autumn, in March and April. But
Now, next month, we're not too far away. We have the King Island Beef Group, the official day where all the farmers get together. Want to open the curtain a little bit and tell us what is going to happen on the day, or still in progress, all the organising?
No, we've organised a little bit. So we've got some speakers on a bit of soil health and different sort of ameliorant ways, using lime and fertiliser different ways to get more out of your fertiliser. So better nitrogen use efficiency. And we've also got a fella, which is very topical issue, talking on succession planning. So
no matter how long you've been a farmer, there's always something to learn?
Oh, I think so. I hope so.